Ripple plus Metaco, Archax, Hedera, and Abrdn PLC, which is this one here, which is their purpose is to enable clients to be better investors. I mean, in reality, isn't that everybody? Anyway, it says connections upon connections upon connections. So what is this all about? Why am I bringing it to your attention? Well, if you didn't know, Archax is a London-based digital securities exchange. And of course, like it says, you know, they basically facilitate the regulated trading of blockchain-based assets. Now you kind of might see where I'm going with this. It says, as you can hear in the clip, Breege Tennelly, who is the head of market development, knows that they are using Metaco, Ripple's newly acquired company for segregated security solutions, aka custody. If you wonder how recent this was posted, you know, roughly a few days ago. Okay, so it is somewhat new. Now, again, segregated security solutions, aka custody. You're going to hear these terms get brought up a lot. And if anything, for the last few weeks, what we've been talking a lot about tokenization. We've been talking about big institutions. The biggest one, obviously, is BlackRock, the world's largest asset custodian. So one of your key takeaways should be, hey, you know what? We're focusing a lot on tokenization. We're talking a lot about the bigger players that are the custodians. We're also talking about just that, custody, okay? So Archax has 3 arms. A regulated exchange or multilateral trading facility, MTF, is tokenization engine of issuance. Has that not grabbed your attention? And a custody subsidiary based on technology from Metaco. As for tokenization engine, they have tokenized the money market fund for Abrdn. And this is where the Hedera connection comes, okay? So Rich, Common Sense Crypto, he touched bases on it and so on. I'm also going to give you guys my own take and also expand upon that. So if you didn't watch his video, it's okay. Maybe sometime after the show or later on in your work week or free time, watch his, you know, and it'll catch you up on some of these things in regards to Ripple and Hedera. Now, this last part. Abrdn is the first major UK asset manager to issue a tokenized security. And why we're putting so much focus on that is because, again, like I said, that song, Phil Collins, In the Air Tonight. I can literally, you know, you could feel it in the air tonight because this whole notion about guys like Larry Fink of BlackRock stating, soon we will see the tokenization of securities and bonds. Well, boom, you know, tokenized security. The first, right? First major UK asset manager doing it. I think it's a big deal. I think we should pay attention to this. So smash that like. Let's play this. It's only a little over 1 minute. And thank you guys for being here. Really appreciate you guys being here on this wonderful Sunday night. Here we go.
Here you really see a deeper dive into what our institutional grade structure looks like. And this is really how we hold these multiple types of assets. So nominee structure, nominee trust structure for securities. And then in terms of you know, security on the digital side, we have a security segregated solution delivered in partnership with Metaco and IBM. We've multi-sig process in place for withdrawals. We also have CAS permissions in place, and so for securities and cash, which is demonstrated here by the flow that you see in front of you. This is really an important differentiator for Archax. And as we face off against institutional players, what they really want to see is institutional grade regulated entities. Segregation of assets, how they're held and by whom they're held is absolutely paramount. It's a key differentiator for us, and that has to be across multiple assets, both traditional and digital.
Both traditional and digital. Remember how we said we can't just dismiss it. We can have or choose to have a flip of the switch any particular time that we want. That's what we want. But realize the bigger picture. You know, there's things that need to come into play. There needs to be the right regulations, and certain banks have to be in compliance. Some are caught up, some aren't. Some, drag behind, as the saying goes. Some don't get the memo, or they do and they procrastinate. I mean, there's so many different factors, right? Getting more into this, just going to pull up some more. And basically speaking, there is this, and it's a little bit more from what you've seen. I mean, again, in that thumbnail, or not thumbnail, but the video, if you notice at the very top, it said, Archax, institutional grade, multi-asset segregated insolvency structure, right? For them to be the first UK asset manager to be tokenized as a security, that's a big deal. You can see this new pathway forward, this new way of going to the new monetary system. That should be one of your key takeaways already. All right. Let me pull up this information, excuse me. So basically speaking, yes, broker and custodian. I mean, think about some of the terms here. You could trade digital securities and crypto, of course, on the Archax exchange, invest. But these key area, custody your digital assets or cash with Archax. Getting into more of Archax, here's some of the key highlights. Custody and staking services securely hold digital and traditional assets within their custodian, and you earn a yield on proof of stake protocols. We stated in the future that, some people have stated like, well, what about when Ripple's XRP and even Stellar and some of these other ones become a high stable digital asset? Where will people bring that for, staking and so on? This is a little brief example of that. Now, currently speaking, it's not the craziest yield. You're not going to earn a lot on it. But, the bottom line is, like it says, secure institutional custodial services. Archax custody service is designed to keep your assets secure above all else. They use segregated insolvency. Again, back to that clip that we just showed with that lady. Remote structure, and their ISO T27001. We're not going to have a moment that we had at the end of the show last night. I promise you that. All right, I read that wrong. I'm just going to state that. 27001 certification ensures the highest level of security for your investments. Archax custody covers a variety of asset classes, including regulated digital securities. I mean, think about this terminology that you see here. Traditional securities, cash, unregulated crypto. I mean, right. That's crazy, right? Why would something like this even mention unregulated crypto? Interesting. Of course, NFTs and stablecoins. Has that reference back to this next part real quick. We will read this verbatim. The system supports leading blockchain protocols and provides institutional-grade key security in collaborations with their partners at Metaco and even IBM. And getting more into this, you're going to see some of the key ones, right? Stellar, you have Ripple, Hedera, all this stuff, right? I mean, these are all, for the most part, blue chips, all right? Talks about their staking services, has this thing with Hedera. So, I mean, it's good stuff, and I at least wanted to share that with you. Now, what I also want to get into is this recent thing that, I should say thing, but interview that happened on October 2nd, right? Not that long ago. And it is with this lady. I introduced her to you guys on the last Hedera video. But it's exactly, for the most part, like the Stellar Development Foundation when they do their interviews, right? It's just Hedera's version, and they got a way bigger following, right? I think on Stellar, it's only like maybe 11 or 12,000. They got like 36,000 following on this. I'll hit the like on that one. But anyway, it's from Gossip About Gossip. It's Archax. Again, why we're highlighting this, okay? The registered digital asset exchange, broker, and custodian. Now, I've gone ahead and fast forwarded to this key area that I want you to pay attention to, right? She just gets right into it in this interview. So I want you to hear this person is Simon Barnby. He's a CMO of Archax, and this is, of course, Zenobia Gottschalk from the, Swirls Labs. She's the VP of communication. We're going to play this for a little bit, and then after that, we're going to get into the David Schwartz presentation that recently happened 13 days ago, okay? And I'm going to tie all this in, and if anything, that'll be on to our next segment here in a little bit. But it's going to answer this darn question about this whole notion, all right, about I couldn't believe it when I heard this over and over and over, right? Won't mention any names. You guys already know who he is, right? He's a good guy. That Ripple XRP can't scale? I was like, you gotta be kidding me, man. So that ish, of course, you know, just like my max scratcher, as Brian Dowley would call it, right? It needed to be scratched. And I said, I got to bring it. I got to give you guys some info. Bottom line is XRP can scale, but I got to show you why, you know, we need to look into some of these things. So again, please smash that like. Currently speaking, we are at 26 likes. Let's try to get this out to a broader base. Thank you so much for being here. Here we go.
Good. Okay, so we have had, Archax has been in the news a little bit. You know, we'll get into sort of the relationship between Archax and Abrdn and the use of Hedera. But if you can just take folks back a little bit and talk about what is Archax, you know, how did you develop and what is your role there?
Sure. I mean, I guess if you kind of look back to the origins of Archax, I mean, firstly, you know, we're the core team here at Archax, we all come from traditional financial markets. So we've all worked at banks, brokers, regulators, exchanges, asset managers, hedge funds. So we come from that kind of regulated institutional financial markets world. But, you know, back in, you know, 2017 and maybe even before, kind of big believers in what was happening in the crypto space, what was being pioneered by protocols like Bitcoin and then Ethereum and Hedera and others, and excited by the innovation that was taking place there, but also really excited by the possibility and opportunity for that technology, blockchain, DLT technology, and concepts like tokenization to really revolutionize and disrupt traditional financial markets. You know, and if that is something that's going to happen, then we realize that someone needs to build institutional grade regulated market infrastructure that can facilitate that can build a bridge, if you like, between the cool crypto world and the more traditional regulated financial market space. And that's really what Archax is all about. You know, we've spent the last few years building technology, institutional technology, getting regulated by the FCA, raising money to keep us going and to get us where we are today, which is in 2023, rolling out our first products and services. So, you know, it's been an exciting journey so far, and the next phase is just beginning.
And that's no small feat. I mean, you're essentially recreating the entire, you know, financial services infrastructure under a new paradigm and having to work through a lot of, you know, regulatory uncertainty to sort of probably help these folks understand what this technology means to financial services.
Exactly. Yeah. When you start a journey like that, even though, you know, we were a fairly credible, experienced team, you don't know what you don't know. And you know, along the way, you find out all sorts of things that need to be solved, all sorts of problems with, you know, revolutionizing the way things are done, you know, technology hurdles, market infrastructure hurdles, regulatory hurdles. But yeah, thankfully, we've navigated them all successfully so far. And are hugely excited by the opportunity and the possibility in front of us.
Very exciting. Well, yes. So that was a big undertaking. You know, you've worked through the years to sort of get that ready for prime time now. And so can you talk a little bit about, you know, what the customer experience is like in Archax and what kinds of services you're offering today for customers?
Yeah, probably the starting point is maybe to touch on the regulation that we have in place, because for us, regulation is key. You know, for the last few years, we've always been talking about the regulation we have, the regulation we're getting, because we thought that was key. And in fact, you know, what happened in the crypto markets last year and into some of this year just highlights the need for a regulated approach. But the regulations we have, so, you know, we're based in London, although it's a global initiative at Archax, we're regulated by the FCA as an exchange, a broker and custodian. And we're on their crypto asset register as a VAS, a virtual asset service provider, as well. And those regulations give us what we need to launch. I mentioned earlier, we're kind of rolling out products this year. We kicked the year off with our custody solution. So we're a fully regulated custodian here in the UK, qualified custodian in the US. And the regulations that we have mean we can custody everything from, you know, unregulated assets like Bitcoin, Hbar, and other sort of crypto native instruments. We can hold regulated tokens as well, like tokenized assets, tokenized real world assets, tokenized funds, real estate, debt, equity. We can hold traditional instruments also, and we can also hold client money as well. So we're fully, quite a broad range of custody services, and we're busy onboarding people onto that custody service now. We have circa 100 million of assets under custody. They're in place or coming very soon. And we're kind of finding that even though many crypto assets remain unregulated in many jurisdictions, actually being a regulated custodian and people knowing that you're operating the service as a regulated custodian, regardless of the asset in question, is quite an attractive place to hold assets. It's a safe harbor. So the custody service is progressing well. Soon after that, we launched our primary market. So this is a market where we can help firms raise money. We've got around, I think, 7 or 8 issuances up on our primary market at the moment. We've helped one firm close its raise. We've got another couple that we're helping with. So we can help on that sort of fundraising journey for either digital issuances or regulated issuances, but they tend to be fintech or crypto-related firms. We also have our tokenization engine we launched earlier this year, so we can create tokens on a range of protocols. So we have that ability, to help firms raise money, to create the tokens that they wish to have, and then to custody them also. And then the final piece, which is launching at the moment, is our exchange. There are 2 markets on the exchange: an unregulated market with cryptocurrencies, pure cryptocurrencies on spots, and then a regulated market, which is where sort of tokenized real world assets can sit and trade. So we kind of have both those pieces too. And alongside all that, we're kind of looking at creating some of our own digital structured products, tokenized products as well. So as well as being a marketplace for people to come and list, we're also creating issuances that we think will be interesting to institutions generally, because our focus is very much institutions or professional investors and above anyway.
And, I think you are touching on a theme that we have heard a lot this year, which is that, you have sort of this merging of asset classes and of functionality. I've never met a person who says, yes, I really enjoy managing all of my different products and assets across multiple different logins and financial institutions. And I love having, 17 usernames and passwords and complicated access to each individual asset. So it does feel like, there is this recognition, as there has been in other, technology shifts and other probably financial services shifts, that, treat assets as just different asset classes, but be able to manage them simply.
The cool key takeaway here is, again, seeing that Ripple connection, right? XRP, also Hedera, and then, this particular one, Archax, being the first, especially in the UK, for tokenized assets, right? I mean, that's the bottom line. I mean, just even double checking the notes. Yeah. Actually, excuse me, Abrdn is the first major UK asset manager to issue a tokenized security. And then again, tying the whole thing with, for instance, Hedera, like it says, they have also tokenized the money market fund for Abrdn using Hedera, right? And then, of course, even with what we mentioned earlier, Ripple with Metaco, then we have Archax with Hedera, and then you combine those as well. Then you also bring in Abrdn. So it's like a collaboration, a collaborative effort with literally, was that 3, 4, 5 of these, right? Pretty crazy stuff.